Nick, Wild Web, Heavyweight, 11-0, 9 knockouts. Subscribe to Sporting Icon for your latest boxing news. Come!
So David Haye, who has his rematch with Tony Bellew on May the 5th at the O2 Arena in London, has said that a future fight with Anthony Joshua would be like Muhammad Ali and George Foreman. And this is what David Haye had to say. If I punch holes in Tony Bellew, then people might say he's back in form and deserves another shot. I will be a huge underdog for a fight against Joshua. I am fully aware of that. He's 10 years younger, 3 inches taller and 3 stone heavier, and I'm coming off a couple of injuries. For me, that is Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman. Ali had suffered 2 losses against Joe Frazier and Ken Norton, and Frazier had knocked them both out. That's what I believe Ali was most recognised for. It was not for his heyday, when he was more agile and physically superior. It was when he beat the monster Foreman, when he was supposedly past his prime. If you want to be the best in the division, then you have to fight a guy with the highest profile, the biggest name, with the most belts, and Joshua is that guy. David Haye's statement. I think that's probably very delusional, that's for sure. And for me, even if he absolutely blitzes Tony Bellew, he doesn't deserve a shot with Anthony Joshua. And this is coming from a David Haye fan, if you like, whereas I supported David Haye for many, many years. It's just like the last year or so, last year or two actually, that I've kind of like fell out with him, if you like, to the point he even kind of blocked me on social media. Anyway, he come back after 3 years, after his shoulder surgery, potentially career-ending surgery, if you like, and went in there with a guy who learned to box from YouTube videos, like Mark Dumori. And you can kind of forgive him for that one to a point, because it was after 3.5 years out, and of course, nobody would expect him to go in there with somebody who is in form, if you like, and has been fighting higher positions. So you can forgive Mark Dumori. But then he goes up against Arnold Jajai, bearing in mind, after Mark Dumori, in the build-up to this Arnold Jajai fight, before he even announced that his second comeback fight was against Arnold Jajai, the Cobra, or as Tony Bellew would call him, the Worm, Tony Bellew promised the fans it was going to be a huge name, one that the fans are going to get very excited for. And he even put ticket sales up before he even announced it. So in other words, he was conning the public, is what happened. Then he announced Arnold Jajai, when a lot of people like me, I thought it was going to be someone like Shannon Briggs. I thought that was a reasonable request. People knew who Shannon Briggs was. People knew that he was dangerous, especially in the early rounds. Why not? And of course, Shannon Briggs has been calling him out for quite a while as well. But David Haye chose Arnold Jajai, and people were very upset about that. Most notably, Shannon Briggs was very upset about that as well. He kind of called off Shannon Briggs by saying, okay, you fight on my undercard, and then we'll talk about fighting next. And according to Shannon Briggs, everything was set. They agreed things behind the scenes that this is what happened. And as far as I'm aware, or so I hear, anyway, I don't know this for a fact, but Shannon Briggs didn't even get paid to be fighting on David Haye's undercard against Jajai either. So of course, after the fight, David Haye went quiet. He changed his number. Shannon Briggs couldn't get hold of him, and far from coming back over to the UK and hunt him down again, he just disappeared into obscurity, if you like, away from Shannon Briggs. Briggs even caught up with him over in America when he was there for the Frampton and Santa Cruz rematch, and David Haye ran away. And within all this time, after victories over Mark Dumori and Arnold Jajai, the guy who went down after a jab and was clearly there to lose, much like Joe Joyce's last opponent was there as well. There's a bit of a pattern here, isn't there? He became mandatory for the WBO, where he was set to face the winner of Joseph Parker and Andy Ruiz Jr. Ultimately, Joseph Parker won that fight. He became the WBO World Heavyweight Champion. David Haye said that was the whole reason for his comeback, was to regain titles at heavyweight and prove that he is still legitimate at heavyweight and to become world champion. So he was all set to face Joseph Parker. And of course, that fight would have probably ended up happening over in New Zealand. Of course, potentially anyway, but there's no reason why David Haye couldn't have got it in the UK, as you know, he would have been offering more money. He then opted to go for the money fight against Tony Bellew. At his stage of his career, in some ways you can't blame him, but in other ways, you did say you wanted a world title. This was your opportunity. You could have done that. You could be world champion right now, but either way, he went for the money fight. That backfired on him. His Achilles heel went, and there was rumours that there was a problem with his Achilles heel for a week up to the fight as well, because he flew over to Germany, and then the rumours came out about his Achilles heel. I know people are talking about other things, that he's going over to Germany to flush out his system for testing, all this kind of thing, because he wasn't registered with VADA or whatever it was. I don't know about that, but I definitely recall Achilles heel rumours. And then in the fight, his Achilles heel went. Too much of a coincidence, right? But either way, he chose the money. He got paid well for it, but took a loss. And now he's got a rematch with Tony Bellew after, well, actually, it's a rescheduled rematch, because he was doing some kind of training up and down the stairs in some, I don't know, high block, whatever it was. He took a bit of a slip. He went to break his fall, grab hold of the railing, and pulled a tendon in his bicep. Freak accident, right? Okay, so he pulled out. Now the rematch, May the 5th. People aren't really tuned into it. Maybe because it's quite a while away. Maybe because people aren't confident the fight's going to happen, in case David HAYE was to pull out again, if you like. But ultimately, his reputation and his stock has plummeted. Highly plummeted. Now, people like me and a lot of you guys, we remember him in his heyday, pardon the pun, but where he was explosive. He convinced me, and he convinced a lot of you guys, that he was going to beat Vladimir Klitschko. He didn't perform, all this kind of thing. So his stock well and truly dropped, but he kind of redeemed some of it when he beat a prospect in Derek Chisora, who had just come off a loss to Vitaly Klitschko at the top. But he knocked out Derek Chisora, whereas he went the distance with Vitaly Klitschko. So people kind of like looked at them both and went, yeah, you know what, he deserves a bit of credit. He then had a fight scheduled with Manuel Char. He then pulled out with injury. He then had then changed it. Rather than go back to Manuel Char, he went for Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury, he pulled out on Tyson Fury twice. And again, people just went, you know what, I've had enough. His comeback has been nothing short of a calamity, the Haymaker 2.0. As Tony Bellew said yesterday, does this mean now you're on the Haymaker 3.0? David HAYE was joking, saying, you know, this is David HAYE or Haymaker 25.0 and things like that. So he kind of knows that he is the brunt of a lot of jokes right now. And for him to even talk about Joshua is ridiculous. Him beating Tony Bellew, even in explosive fashion, is not good enough for a Anthony Joshua fight. Yes, it would sell, of course it would. David HAYE is well respected. He has done a lot for boxing. He's given us some great nights of boxing. Okay, they were against crap opposition, like Audley Harrison. I mean, how we all bought into that one, I'll never know. And, you know, he beat a couple of other guys. The Valuev fight was exciting considering the size difference, but if you look back at it, Valuev was not very good at all. But either way, he shouldn't be talking about Anthony Joshua. That's just my opinion. And if he was to blitz and annihilate Tony Bellew, no matter how he does it, even if he beats him up for like 2 or 3 rounds straight and then devastatingly knocks out Tony Bellew, where Tony Bellew needs gas and air, and, you know, in the ring at the end of the fight, which hopefully that doesn't happen, but even if it does, yes, people will go, wow, that was very explosive. But facts are, he should have beaten Tony Bellew anyway. He should have beat him in the first one. He should never have got to round number 6 when his Achilles heel went. Regardless of the fact that there was clearly an injury before then, if you check his ring walk, you can see he was very, very sluggish as he was walking. His fighting style was all off. It was wrong. So he was going in there knowing that there's a problem with his Achilles heel. He knew that as the rounds went on, it was going to cause him a problem. And ultimately, that's why he was swinging for the fences, to try and knock out Tony Bellew. But had he played it smart in the first round or two, he probably would have got on top of him. So he was supposed to beat Bellew. But by beating him this time, he's just rectifying what he should have done the first time round. That doesn't warrant an Anthony Joshua fight. That doesn't warrant any kind of top-ranked opponent. Maybe go up against somebody like Hughie Fury for the British. Should Hughie Fury beat Sam Sexton, which we all think that he will, but then go on from then and then fight a top 5, if you like. Beat them and then get into position. Go take on Jarrell Miller. Go take on Adam Kalnacki. Charles Martin even. Dominic Brazil. Whoever. The loser of Wilder versus Ortiz. Again, he never talks about Deontay Wilder. Tony Bellew alluded to this one as well. So why is it that David Haye has been adamant ever since his comeback he wants Anthony Joshua? It's for the money, that's all it is. Whereas most boxing fans, British boxing fans, will say, well, why didn't you go after Joseph Parker and then have unification against Joshua? Why didn't you go after Deontay Wilder and have unification against Anthony Joshua? So we could have 2 heavyweight world champions from Britain coming together in a huge fight. So anyway, just to sum up, Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman? No, it's not. David Haye needs a little bit of work. Does he have the time for that? Probably not. He's got his promoter's hat on now. That's going to take away a little bit of his fighting capabilities and his fighting mindset because he's got other things on his mind. But anyway, drop your thoughts below. Do you think that a fight between David Haye and Anthony Joshua would be like Muhammad Ali and George Foreman-esque, if you like? Would it be a case of, would you be interested in watching this fight if he beats and blitzes even Tony Bellew? Or do you think David Haye, just like I feel, that he still needs to do another 1 or 2 fights after that in order to earn a crack at Anthony Joshua to the point where people go, actually, David Haye could win this one? So, as of right now, even if he beat Tony Bellew, I don't believe that he has any kind of hope against Anthony Joshua. He's got a puncher's chance, of course. He's still devastating with that right hand. But anyway, drop your thoughts below on it all. Click that thumbs up. Click that subscribe button, of course. Have a great day, and I'll catch you next video.